Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's 1 Million by 1 Million Strategy Roundtable for Entrepreneurs. 1M by 1M, as you know, is the first and only global virtual accelerator in the world. Our mission is to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million and beyond in annual revenue. In support of that mission, we do these roundtables week after week after week, year after year after year. This is the 532nd roundtable. We started back in 2008. So we have shown up to do this every week for a very long time. And over 150,000 people have participated. So it's been a fascinating experience. When we started, our audience was largely US and India. Today, we get people from all over the world, including deep in the heart of Africa. So it's very, very exciting to see how, broadly the program has been adopted around the world, and it gives us visibility into activities in so many different parts of the world. The event is being recorded. Every recording is available on our YouTube channel. You can access them at 1M1M Roundtable. Today's hashtag for Twitter is 1M1M. Our Twitter handles are 1M by 1M, and that's Romana, and we publish a lot of interesting stuff through that, so please follow. These are the call-in numbers. Today you can, after we finish the scheduled programming, you can call in to chat through these numbers or through your computer audio. I'll put this back up later. Today, we're going to speak with Karthee Madasamy, and Karthee has been here before. You've been here before, Karthee, right?
That's right, a couple of years ago, yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to catch up and level set on how COVID has been, and how the ecosystem around us is evolving, how your fund is evolving, and so forth. So welcome back. It's great to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. Thank you.
It's wonderful that the U.S. at least is turning the corner on COVID. India is a whole different story. Unfortunately, I have several family members who are infected. We had a death earlier in the week, and we have another aunt who is critical at the moment. So it's really a bad situation in India. So I'm very, very sorry for those of you who are in India and experiencing a similar, horrible situation in your friends and family. So be careful, be safe, and let's get started. Karthee, let's catch up. How have things been? What are the highlights of your last 15 months?
Yeah, it's definitely been a weird 15 months. But we've been fortunate to be actually doing our work during these 15 months. We are aware of the situation in India, and we lost our high school classmate as well, which was very heartbreaking earlier this week. So hopefully everybody's safe, and India turns a corner as well. We decided to be active through the pandemic period in terms of investments. We did not take a step back. And the first 6 months of the pandemic, there were a lot of investors who probably took a little bit of a step back. But then since last fall, everybody has come back in. Everybody has realized that technology is probably the way to go forward, and that's where the value creation, wealth creation opportunities are. So it has come back kind of a little bit roaring in a way that nobody expected probably a year ago. We had stayed even keel and invested through the process. So since the start of the pandemic since March, we have made 4 investments, which is kind of our annual pace. So we do kind of seed to Series A, and we take active role in the company. So that's our active pace for 4 to 5 companies a year. So we have kind of maintained that. But I would say today, the activity level is pretty high across the board. We do deep tech. Deep tech is probably a little more even keel, especially at our stages, because you need to understand the technology, evaluate technology, why such a technology would work, and maybe there is a little less frantic pace in deep tech, but across the board, it has just gone up.
So let's do two things before anything else. Let's talk about the companies that are not the four that you've invested in the last 15 months, but the ones before that. How have they fared in COVID, and what are you learning based on the trends and the behavior of your portfolio companies and their experience in the market?
Yeah, they've gone through this roller coaster of a ride. I think initially the first 3-4 months of the pandemic, sales process kind of stalled. You couldn't do in real life demo. You couldn't get the conversation moving from pilot to advanced discussion and getting through a PO process. So it was all slow at the time. So a lot of the focus for the company was to make sure that the cash would last for a longer time. So there's a lot of a proactive management in terms of either staff reduction or kind of salary cutting, or in terms of making sure the cash will last for a longer time. But I think a lot of it changed. I think the behavior changed from the customer as well, even big enterprise customers as well, where starting last fall, you could go through a sales process completely on Zoom or completely through video conferences. You didn't have to have the real life conversations or meetups and to get the sales to a close. So we started things kind of picking up. But everybody has kind of figured out a way to now work around that. I think as a venture capitalist, it's really relatively easy to do this over Zoom. But I think as a company with like 100 employees, just managing all the folks through remote tools and through Zoom is definitely has its own challenges. But I think the portfolio companies have done a good job. They all have figured out a way, working arrangement to get the best out of this setup. But the customers started coming back in terms of their behavior changed, going through the finish line just on Zoom started happening, which basically meant that the pipeline started kind of flowing through, deals started closing, and I think starting this year, it's almost feels like they're back in the kind of the normalcy in terms of, okay, here's our projection, here's what we're going to achieve. There is no pandemic related kind of hold up in terms of their projections and their kind of sales velocity and things like that.
Karthee, your portfolio is almost entirely enterprise focused companies, right? You do B2B enterprise businesses, deep
That's
tech
right.
enterprise businesses.
That's correct.
So,
That's correct.
Let me underscore what you're saying. Is the echo gone? No.
Is there an echo?
Yeah, there's an echo. Is there still an echo? No, the echo is coming out of your line, Karthik. So maybe you have the computer and the phone on. You may need to adjust that. So where I was going with that was, when we started getting into this COVID mode of doing business, not being able to meet in person but trying to still continue doing business, the buyers, the enterprise buyers, were not used to buying technology just on the basis of a Zoom meeting, unless it's a very small deal size, telesales oriented sales flow anyway, which there is quite a bit of. But in larger deals, in larger enterprise deals, that was not the workflow. People were used to meeting in person. So would it be fair to say that one of the lessons that COVID has achieved is train enterprises to buy technology purely on the basis of Zoom interactions?
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest outcomes. I think people necessities probably drove it. They realized that some of these technologies need to be adopted for their own productivity or their own proper working of their own enterprises. So the biggest outcome of this thing is people actually doing large sales decisions go to the finish line all through Zoom or through largely remote discussions. Yeah, that's definitely the biggest outcome, and I think increasingly people have become more comfortable. Our portfolio has a mix of software plus hardware. And the hardware, there are warehouses and others have been open. They've been more open through the pandemic than the offices. So some demos, some proof of concepts could be shown to customers at the warehouses, like a robot or like an IoT platform, things of that sort. So there was a little bit of advantage to show at least a warehouse, where things can be shown. But yeah, in large, I think the biggest outcome or biggest learning is that people have learned a way to work through the entire sales process on Zoom.
Which is going to have far-reaching consequences, because we work globally, and there's technology companies, software companies in particular, being developed all over the world today, and all of these software companies want to actually sell globally to global enterprises. So I think this is going to be a very interesting, learning going forward that is going to make it viable for a much larger number of technology vendors to actually start selling as small startups to be able to start selling to global enterprises. That I think is a very, very positive outcome of the COVID process.
Yeah, I agree. Some of the old rule books could be kind of now turned over. It used to be you had to have a big team here. All those things can be now remote. A lot of people can work remotely. A lot of teams can work remotely and manage this process. Yeah, so I think that definitely enables kind of this global technology solutions, and you're able to achieve a lot more, especially as a small company where you couldn't put like different teams in different places. So I think that's definitely very helpful.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about you've done 4 deals, new deals in the last 15 months while COVID has been in swing. Do these companies have COVID-related dynamics, or they're just regular deep tech companies that follow, your regular evaluation principles?
Yeah, we didn't change a lot of our criteria because of COVID. We did not, we were not focusing specifically on COVID accelerated businesses. But there are definitely factors that influence some of those things. For example, we did a humanoid robotics company which will go into warehouses and factories called Agility Robotics. And what this pandemic kind of accelerated was this whole e-commerce phenomenon. It has always been a big size of the market, but then it just accelerated. And then more and more e-commerce warehouses and factories realize that the way to increase productivity is by actually using robotics. It's not necessarily replacing people, but you need to add robots along with people to actually get the productivity gains that you need. So there was definitely a factor of COVID kind of helping that, but we would have invested that as a technology, that as a company without COVID as well. So there was definitely impact like that based on COVID. But otherwise, we tried to stay kind of good companies, larger macro trends, how some of these technologies are disrupting the way some of these traditional industries are, behaving or operating. And that's what we went by. And obviously, a lot of them got accelerated through COVID. But we did not put a special lens. We did not specifically focus on, for example, future of work or remote education, things of those nature. Okay. Our focus has been deep tech. So we definitely saw some acceleration of technology adoption, but we tried to stay reasonably neutral.
So let's double click down a little bit on deep tech seed investing in 2021. What check sizes are you writing, and what does a team need to have in place for you to be willing to write that first check?
So we invest between seed and A. So a lot of our stuff is A as well. So we obviously do selectively seed or post seed or pre-A, whatever you want to call it. And our check size can range from $500,000 to $3 million. Our sweet spot is probably $1 million to $2 million, but we have done we have done $500,000 as well.
Let me actually be very specific, just a second. Let's take those categories separately. Let's take the $500,000 first check into a company as a category. Let's take the $1 million to $3 million as a second category. So start with the $500,000 first check category. What does the team need to have in place for you to consider?
So we are a deep tech fund. So we look for clearly differentiated technology, and there is a clearly identified market need, and there is a founder fit to both of those things. Founders have the right either expertise or the motivation or the background to provide the technology and also to deliver products to that market. So we look for those three things at that stage. We don't expect revenues at that stage because it's harder at that stage to have revenue, especially for a deep tech company. But we look for very clearly differentiated technology. So a lot of times it might be companies that are spinning out of either a corporate lab or from a university lab where some of the technology has already been built out. So we look for that, and then there is some clearly differentiated aspects to it, and then we look for the market, like what kind of market problem they are solving. At that stage they may not have done like one round of either POC or a pilot or anything. They may not have done. So we look for a clearly articulated view of here's the market problem that needs solving, and this technology and this product will solve that. And an early team as well. So, and we don't typically invest in companies that haven't come out and started doing the company. So we look for like full-time commitment. So those are some focus metrics or focus milestones that we look for in a kind of a seed stage for the company where we are writing $500,000 checks.
What is your perspective on first-time entrepreneurs? Because a lot of these teams are inside labs or in universities are first-time entrepreneurs, and they're technical founders usually.
Right.
So would you write a check based on a technical founder with differentiated expertise and identified market that they want to go after, solving a real pain that you have some understanding of and they have some understanding of, but not much more?
Yeah, we will do that. In fact, we look for more like hunger, like what you look for is hunger. Sometimes second time, third time entrepreneur may not have the same hunger, so we don't try to look for just the serial entrepreneur. We just look for the hunger. Does the entrepreneur have that hunger to make this happen? And oftentimes in deep tech companies, the initial founders could be primarily tech founders. We look for adaptability. It's okay to be started as a technical founder. It's okay to be the first-time entrepreneur. But I think what we look for is, are the founders open to feedback? Are the founders open to kind of giving up some of the control, bringing in business-focused co-founder or business-focused senior exec early on? So we look for those type of things, whether they're willing to take feedback, willing to be adaptable, understand where their blind spots are, and willing to kind of bring in reinforcements in areas where they have blind spots. I think that's an ongoing learning. We always been surprised by people who we thought were reasonably adaptable, but we end up they're not. So it's an ongoing learning. But I think that's what we look for. We kind of lay the terms as well, saying, hey, you need to bring in such type of person to complement your strengths. You need these type of go-to-market capabilities. And these are some of your blind spots. Sometimes it's fundraising. Sometimes technical founders underestimate the fundraising part of it. So we try to we try to explain that, and then we look for people's mindset around that. And sometimes we are wrong, but I think that's an ongoing thing. That's how you keep getting better as well. Nevertheless, we do invest in technical founders, first-time entrepreneurs. Yeah.
In 1 million by 1 million, our experience has been, it's been a long time, right? We've been doing this for over a decade.
Right.
Is that technical founders can be taught the business side. And we have, I would say one of the big achievements of 1 million by 1 million is teaching technical founders kind of like this very accelerated mini MBA.
Right.
That really gives them all the pieces that they need to learn to kind of put things in perspective, at least for that early stage, the 0 to 1 million stage. We can, because the sales in that scenario, well, in a deep tech deal, you're going to spend quite a bit of time just building the product and talking to customers to figure out what product you're building.
Yeah.
You don't really gain anything by bringing in a salesperson at that point.
Correct.
The best, it's a founder-led sales process at that point. So, I almost feel like the missing piece in that is training people.
No, I agree.
Right?
I think we look for more product-focused business people than sales. I agree with you. I think like early on, the sale is done by the founder, and it's really a technology plus solution. But this product management, where what does the customer need? What is our technical advantage, technology advantage, and then how do you build the right product in terms of understanding the customer requirements? Some technical entrepreneurs are very good at it. They can learn, like you rightly pointed out. They have the product mindset. In some cases, they could use help, saying that okay, here is really what the So, but it's not sales. It's more.
Are you finding a lot of product-focused people who have the experience of bringing products to market, willing to take on very early stage deep tech ventures as maybe a CEO or a chief product officer in situations like that? Are they willing to come in early?
Yeah, we're seeing that. We're definitely seeing that, especially folks that have seen some of the either they have seen the problem themselves in a personal life, or they have seen this in their past life, and they have more of a product mindset, and then they kind of team with the technical founder who kind of provides the technology aspects of it. And we're seeing more and more of that, definitely. And some of the technologies are getting a little more table stakes as well. It's like easier to build as well. For example, robotics as an example. Some of the robotics don't require has become reasonably well understood. There are enough components now where some of the product focused folks who may not have like a lot of technical background, but they're comfortable now to say, okay, we work with the technical founder, and then this is the type of robot that we will build. So we're definitely seeing increased interest in that. So in fact, in the last week, I had like 4 conversations with folks like that, where people were like business people or product people in a different area, and then they identified this market problem because they're very good at that. Like, what is the market problem? What is the need? And then work with find a technical co-founder or technical founder and then see how this can be brought to market. And so we're definitely seeing more of that.
Karthee, can you comment on a topic that we get a lot of conversations around, and I personally had a very bad experience with this issue, which is bringing in an outside CEO. So this is my story was from a much earlier point of my career. I was very young at the time, and I had built the first phase of the business. I had paying customers. I had raised the venture capital, and I had kind of accepted that my investors wanted to bring in a CEO. And I was the product I was a product visionary. I had a good technical team. I was doing technical development work in India, which is why we were able to do a lot very cheaply. This is mid-90s, so a long time ago.
Mm.
But brought in a CEO who was basically a first-time CEO who had a sales background, a head of sales kind of background. It was a mistake. It was definitely, and he was an absolute disaster. So, so I'm curious how where in the scenarios where you're doing deep tech investment, where you need to bring in a CEO to manage presumably a very tech-savvy team, going after an interesting market opportunity, what nuggets, what lessons from the trenches can you offer as guidance to our audience?
So it's a very hard question, and I sympathize with you, empathize with you. It's not actually easy to bring an outside CEO. It's not. Oftentimes, it's not the right fit. It's just a more theoretical fit. So it doesn't work a lot of times. I think the first thing is that be very clear about what the need for the company is, and then bring in a person that's actually going to solve that. So, like you said, a lot of times the the immediate response is like, let's bring a salesperson. But for many of the companies, where being only sales focused doesn't happen for a very, very long time. You need to be very close to product. You need to be very close to technology.
I think it's a very big mistake to bring a sales executive earlier on in a deep tech company.
Exactly. So where we have seen success is 2-3 things. One is where the founders themselves are kind of bought into the idea, right? Because that's very important. It's like, okay, here is what needs to happen, and here is what our limitations are. So as a board, we try to spend more time on that part first. Like, okay, do you agree that this is what the need is? And then and then bring in a person. So oftentimes, instead of over optimizing for the right person, we actually try to see the more over optimized for the fit. Meaning, sometimes it might be a person that has worked with the founders in a different capacity in the past, where they may not be the best fit, but in terms of the natural transition from the current founders to the CEO, that's probably a much better option. So we actually look for those type of things where the chemistry, working together, trust is a lot more is there. That's more than theoretically this is the right person because they have done this before in the past type of a thing. So we try to look for that. And then we try to identify some metrics in terms of what do we define as success and whatnot. So a lot of times we have brought people as a consultant first, like 3 months, 4 months, to see, okay, here is how this is going to work, or here are the parameters that we want to test it out. In terms of working ability with the technologist, in terms of helping really for the go-to-market, in terms of ability to carry the conversation, carry the sales in still a product-minded company. So we try to bring in as this 3-4 months as a consultant to a CEO, and that actually is a lot of the incoming CEOs like that as well, because they have an out as well. Because okay, if it doesn't work, the fit is not there, the founders are not necessarily as flexible as we thought, the willingness to let go is not there. All of them, both sides can figure out. So those have been things that we have seen, and then that way we could find the right fit. But I think more importantly, what we found is that the human element is more important at different stages, and so we try to optimize more for that. Because if the current team rejects the new CEO, then it's of no use, even if somebody's very good. So we try to make sure that buy-in is there. But like you said, try to identify what is the need is an important thing. Because a lot of times people who come from a big company are used to a brand name behind them, used to have a sales force behind them. And in a startup, that's not there. So yeah, so some of those things need to be thought through.
And in a deep tech, very early stage, seed stage startup, you can't really afford to lose the technical team. No. So if it becomes a toss-up between the technical team and the external CEO, you have to get rid of the CEO. There's no choice. Otherwise, you have no company.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
So now, the last thing I want to pursue today is in your, in the deal flow that you're seeing, in your analysis of the market, what are some open problems that you have identified for which you're looking for teams, great deep tech teams that can solve those problems? Are there any that you're looking to invest in?
So we try to do, we're more thematic we're more thematic than very, very tight thesis driven. So we definitely look for like large tech, like deep tech led large transformation in traditional industries like automotive, manufacturing, agriculture, biology. But we don't try to figure out the exact market problem ourselves. That we let the entrepreneurs kind of bring that to us, because they are the ones on the ground looking at the problem day in day out. So we let the entrepreneurs drive that a little bit. But that said, we definitely are looking at areas around agriculture, like precision agriculture, and then same thing in like manufacturing. We definitely see that manufacturing is going to go through a significant transformation over the next few years. In the last few years, we are starting to see the seeds being sown into that. So we are definitely looking for companies that are trying to disrupt that. And then the one area that we are now actively looking at is this computational biology, where computer science and electrical engineering is basically influencing the way either drugs are discovered or the whole drug discovery process is managed. So we are actually looking at that as well. We're not going to be we're not a biotech fund, but we look for more computer science led innovation in some of these areas. So those are some of the high level thematic stuff that we look at. If you look at our first fund, a lot of the thematic was around computer vision and video, because we saw an explosion of that. We continue to look at that as well. But like if you were to look at like going forward, these will be some of the areas, kind of manufacturing, agriculture, a little bit of space, and then computational biology. So those are kind of some of the themes that we think that are large markets that need to be transformed. And these are sectors that spend a lot of money as well. And there's a lot more to be done. So we actively look for companies in those areas.
And the teams you're looking for, do they need to be in Silicon Valley, or what is your geographical perimeter now?
We look at globally. So we have partnerships with early stage funds in India, Israel, Europe. So it doesn't have to be in Silicon Valley, or it doesn't have to be in North America. But we are a North America focused fund. And early stages, it's very hard to manage help if they're very, very far away and if their focus is not in North America. And deep tech, that's the one good thing, is that deep tech is deep tech, which means that if it's applicable for one geography, it will be applicable for every geography. And still, in the developed markets, US probably is ahead in terms of adopting new technologies. So many of these deep tech companies, wherever they are, they have a strong focus in terms of selling to US customers. So we look for some plans to be in North America so that we can be helpful as well. But definitely, they don't need to be in Silicon Valley. We just try to focus on where we can help very actively. If a startup is in, for example, India, and primarily only focusing on customers in India, then how are we sitting in Silicon Valley be able to help? So then, in that case, we'll tend to pass on that. So there's no restriction per se, but we look for areas where we can help. And a lot of times, deep tech companies have North America focus, at least at some point, because the customers here adapt faster, and that's okay. So we look at all the companies across the board. Yeah.
All right. Well, very good catching up, Karthee.
Good seeing you, Ramana. Thanks for having me.
See you again. Bye-bye. Take care.
Yeah.
Folks, we're going to switch to the entrepreneur pitch session. If you're pitching today or on another upcoming session, just remember that this is a safe working session. You don't need to be defensive. You don't need to be nervous. We're on your side. So we just talk about what your challenges are and see what guidance we can provide to help you remove those obstacles. If you disagree with the feedback you get here, that's fine too. You do what you want. It's your venture. You do what you want. Listen to the feedback, process the feedback, and figure out what makes sense for you. The conversation we're going to have today is with a company that's actually already in the 1M by 1M premium program. So I am a bit familiar with what Akshar Vastarpara is doing from Gujarat. So Akshar, go ahead and go through your presentation, and it would be very interesting to catch up.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Okay, so this is just not a line that I kept for this revolutionized projection, but it's an actual a figure for how where the smart home market is going after 5 years, and the real figure is from several other research papers is 200 billion. So smart home is the next $200 billion revolution. Okay. So about the smart home concept, there is one video in YouTube which was released eventually in the 1950s about the Whirlpool, showing the smart kitchen concept, where they show how your future smart kitchen would be, from smart jugs to from refrigerator having the displays and all kind of stuff. But it's been 70 years after that. Since people are trying to go with all so many smart home devices and so many smart home platforms, and we are waiting for some kind of smart home system. It's been around for us since last 20 years, but I don't think we all have some kind of active smart home system in our home. This is some kind of clippages from existing smart home system related news and all kind of stuff, how the market is going to go and how it will reach by 2025. Next. So my point is, if we all want to have some kind of a connectivity system where we can be able to talk to our appliances and they all can also be communicated with each other from since a decade, but it's not there. Why it's been around us if it's too much awaited? Why it's not there yet? So for introducing that concept, what I would want to introduce two simple concepts. Before the iPod came in, if we see about the music industry, it was like in some kind of clusters. Some were making the VPR, some were making the DVDs and CDs and all kind of stuff. Then they came in, they launched one simple product where they can integrate the 1,000 songs and includes most of the music formats, no matter what, and you can just hear them simply through your phone. Same thing happened in the smartphone as well. Before the iPhone came in, same manufacturer was releasing the different operating system for different phones. If we want to have some kind of common app for all of the phones prior to 2008, I don't think we would have the same platform where we can launch the apps like that. So when they launched one kind of smartphone where they all came in, and when all the other app manufacturers, all the other industries can develop the apps based on just one platform, then the smartphone industry was revolutionized. Because eventually we cannot rely on a system where it depends on 20 different parameters. You need to have some kind of common system where all integrates and then we all collaborate. So I think why the smart home system is not still around us, and it's not it's popular in terms of the development and in terms of the launching, but it's not yet physical product that we see or any major product that's been around us. So next, so what is the problem? Why it's not there yet? So the first problem is about the connectivity of different devices. If you see, smart home is not just a minor field. There are thousands of manufacturers, and from giants to small, who are developing so many different kind of devices and platform systems and all kind of stuff. But if you really want to easily integrate all of the devices, you cannot. If you have the Philips Hue bulb and if you have the MI band or some kind of Apple Watch, you want to directly communicate with each other, then you cannot do it at a moment. They're all, because right now in smart home market, there are 20 different wireless technologies which are being introduced from the different manufacturers and different developers. So we cannot make a platform where we have the 20 different wireless platforms. If there is a SE which needs to be smart, if there is an oven which needs to be smart, if they all are in different platforms, they cannot communicate to each other. So there is no seamless connection between the different devices or different manufacturers. The most other thing is the setup of each of the devices. As all of them are using the different technologies, you need to have the different kind of setup or different kind of installation for integration into your system. Like if you have the SE and they are using the Wi-Fi, you need to download their app, you need to communicate with their app, and you'll just do some kind of configuration. But if you have the Zigbee enabled device, you need to have the gateway of the Wi-Fi router, then you will need to have some kind of different setup based on that device. Other thing is all of them communicate to your phone right now. So if you want to operate something like your SE or your smart bulbs or your or lights or ovens or any kind of smart home related devices, they will communicate to your phone through your Wi-Fi. When you are local, if you are global, then you can ship to the internet. And the most basic limitation in the Wi-Fi right now, priority Wi-Fi 5 and all the other protocols, they have limited devices connectivity. You cannot connect priority 15 to 16 device in most of the routers till a date. So suppose if you have 15 different wireless devices which are communicating to the Wi-Fi, you cannot connect to your laptop or to your router because it's too congested network. And other stuff is Wi-Fi has some kind of range problem. The router has not full coverage to your home. So in some cases, if you have installed your router to in one of your corner, you will not have a range where you of the Wi-Fi router installed in some other corner. So you will not eventually be able to communicate with the appliances that are installed there. The most other thing is the different apps for the different devices and the different platforms, as they need different hub, as they need different wireless technologies, and they cannot communicate to single use case apps. So if you are trying to buy some kind of other protocol enabled devices, then you will have to have the another app installed into your own. So for controlling 8 to 9 smart home devices, you need to have at least 2 to 3 different kind of app into your phone right now. So there is no collaboration of interaction with these all the smart home devices and stuff. And the most thing that we are focusing, it's not just about on off through your phone. Smart home systems and automation stuffs, it's not just about controlling the appliances through your phone. They need to be able to communicate to each other without your phone. You need to be able to communicate to do any of the smart home devices without the phone. You need to have these different kind of interfaces with the so that using that you can actually communicate to the smart home systems. Like the Alexa have the voice user interface, so you can be able to talk with the voice. That's how Google Nest is launching some kind of image recognition where you will install in your room, and when you enter and when you leave, they'll emulate some kind of differences. But even if you have the Alexa without some kind of cloud infrastructure and the same Zigbee and Z-Wave and other kind of wireless infrastructure, you cannot communicate to your devices. So these are the problems that we think are limiting the whole smart home segment to be able to revolutionize. So as a part of the solution, we are introducing 4 different things. First is the special hardware that we are developing, and it's almost prototype. Another is how the hardware mechanism that we have used, the installation of the hardware into your existing switchboards, and the smart home platform app where you can install the third-party apps as well, and how it will be able to control your existing switches and lights. And the last thing is the white blue interface, which will be used for all of the third-party applications in a future. Like we are targeting to be a platform where other third-party manufacturers as well as us and we can communicate to each other via devices. So yes. So what about the switch? as I've told you that we are developing 4 different type of mechanism for developing full system. One is the hardware, one is the white blue interface, one is the application, and one is the modularization of the hardware. So first one is all about the switches. The hardware that we are going to develop will be installed into your existing switchboards. There are so many smart home providers which do that right now, but what we are making different from them, from the existing switchboard manufacturers. So when you install our device into your existing switchboard, you will be able to, of course, communicate with the internet via the Alexa, and all kind of stuff is there. But the other features should be wirelessly reroute your existing electrical wiring. Like till now, since they have invented these switches, we are all using the same switch concept, which is wired through your appliance. So you cannot physically connect 2 different appliances through one switch. So if you have fixed some kind of wiring, you'll do the on off, and it works like that. But when you install the smart home hardware that we are going to develop, you can turn that switch into any of your appliances switches. You can with your just application, you can tell your hallway switches. Yes.
Can you stop for a second? What you're proposing to do, does that require a technician to go into the house to do all this implementation?
My initial plan and the hardware that we have developed is to be able to without a technician from our side. Eventually, they will need a technician, a local technician, or they can do it by hand as well. It's just electrical wirings like we do. But our goal
I
is.
don't think this, you cannot assume that consumers are going to do this kind of work on their own without a technician's help. So the
Right.
minute there is a technician involved, it makes adoption very, very hard.
Right.
So what worries me about the vision that you're painting here is it's a very difficult to adopt product or suite of products that you are trying to bring to the market.
Right.
So, and those kinds of businesses have a very hard time growing.
Right.
So what is your response to that?
Yes.
Have you
So
thought about that?
yeah, we have thought about that. So if you see, to make your current existing smart home, if you suppose if you are buying a new home, right, then you're going to do the new infrastructure, and then you'll already have the technician in your house. So for that, I don't think you'll need the different technician, because the same technician would be used for installation of your smart home products. The problem would be for the existing households where we want to install the systems. Now, if we want to turn any system into smart, like your existing lights or existing switches, apart from our or any kind of other, you'll need to have the technician, because you need to physically rearrange your hardware that is installed in your home. Our system is basically designed in a way that it also transform your existing switches to your smart switch boards, like controlling your lights through your fan and all kind of stuff.
Yeah,
As
so
well as,
this is
yes.
what I'm pushing back against, is that if
Yeah.
this business is predicated on the fact that it is all retrofit and you're going to have to send technicians into every household to install, I think this business is going to be very, very hard to build.
Right.
So I'm going to introduce a concept that I would like you to go explore.
Mm-hmm.
There is, and I'm going to speak mostly in the context of India, but it will apply to other countries and other situations as well. There is a whole category of real estate developers who are developing smart home projects. There's
Yes.
luxury projects that are smart home
Yes.
projects that
Yes.
right from
Yes.
the beginning, right from the get-go, are fully wired smart homes. So if you go after that market specifically, then you get to, if it's an apartment complex with 200 apartments, you can do the whole thing and it's an enterprise sale, and that is a different kind of business. And then in there, you can afford and to put in professional services and technicians and everything, and that is a scalable business because each deal size is going to be very large.
Right.
So I would like you to think about this not as a B2C business, but as a B2B business focused specifically on real estate developers who are building smart homes.
Yeah, it's already there in the go-to market strategy. We already, yes, you are almost right about it. We already have thought about it, and it's already part of our projection. So other thing about
Just mark one thing, Akshar. I'm not saying that that is one of the things that you do. I'm saying that that is the business that you build.
specifically, yeah, yes,
Okay. All right.
yes.
Keep going.
So about the application, what we are going to introduce, you can just switch back to the switch slide. I just need to explain a few things. The last slide again. Just, okay. So apart from controlling your appliance and all kind of stuff, with our system installed into the user's home, we can eventually set the Amazon delivery from your kitchen switches. So if you press your kitchen hall switches 2 times, you can automate the Amazon delivery. You can press the kitchen hall switches 3 times. You can actually emulate some kind of notification or some kind of specific trigger on anywhere on the earth. We can we are going to provide the APIs to the third-party developers, so they'll have the notification and they can...
The Amazon delivery example is very good.
Yes.
Because Amazon delivery works. I don't
Yes.
need you to mess with my Amazon delivery. Come up
Yes.
with ideas and examples that are mission critical. I don't need to schedule hot shower from the hallway. These are
Yes.
bullshit case studies, use cases.
Yes.
Take them out. Focus on things that are important. Otherwise,
Yes.
you will not be able to sell. These are nice to have. There's a big difference between building nice to have features and really powerful mission critical features. So you have to tighten your pitch vastly into doing mission critical things. What do I want to do with this switch? That does need to be done applying your model, not this foo-foo stuff. Come up with real examples, really important stuff.
Yes.
Okay? All right.
Okay. So about the smart home application, current all of the smart home applications from all of the providers works on the Wi-Fi. That's the most major issue. Even if you have the Zigbee, Z-Wave, Mesh, any other kind of wireless protocols, you cannot communicate to your existing smart home systems without a Wi-Fi. Almost all of the homes has the Wi-Fi at the moment, but it still has the range problem, so it doesn't go into the corners, and it really do not covers to your whole home. So the application that we have developed will be communicated to the specific WiBlue interface that we are launching. It will not be a Wi-Fi, but every device that we install in your switchboard will also have its own Bluetooth. So suppose you have 4 BHK or 3 BHK, every room has its own Bluetooth. So wherever you go in your home, you will have the full Bluetooth coverage. Our application will ship to the nearest room, and it will connect to the nearest room, and you can eventually communicate to whole system, communicating with the whole stuff. The other major feature that we are trying to launch is when you shift your home or room, in all the other appliances, you need to manually select the room that you want to control. Like if you are in hallway, and if you are in your kitchen, if you are in your bedroom, you'll when you shift your room, you need to go to the bedroom, click, and then just operate the appliances. In our case, whenever you shift the room, it will populate the nearest room. So in your if you are in your bedroom, you'll have the bedroom control in your home, in your smart home application directly. When you are kitchen, then you'll have the nearest kitchen enabled window in your home, and it runs without a Wi-Fi. So in any case, if there is a no Wi-Fi, you can still control all of the smart home appliances, and system
Yeah,
that we
but
are
why
going
would
to
you Wi-Fi? If you think about it, now I'm only thinking about these, high-end developments, real estate
yes.
developments, where you're going to be working with them in the construction phase to build in all this functionality. There will be Wi-Fi.
Yeah, and we are also compatible with the Wi-Fi. So if there is a Wi-Fi, we don't have a problem.
Yeah. So I mean, this is kind of irrelevant for me as mostly. Wi-Fi and boosters solve the problem, I think.
Yeah. So why should we have the Wi-Fi? The range thing is the major issue, because if we see, if you have like two floor or two stories bungalow, you cannot control your appliances from the upper. So that's where the Bluetooth part came in. I can ditch the without Wi-Fi option, but I can say them that the range problem. So this is the main thing that we are trying to get installed is white blue interface. Now, as I told you earlier, why there is no common platform connectivity from all of the other third-party devices and third-party manufacturers. If you see, if you have the Videocon SE which has the Wi-Fi, there is a Philips Hue bulb which has some kind of Zigbee. If you have the MI band which has the Bluetooth. So there is no common platform which can communicate to all. So how?
So part of your value proposition is to set up this white blue interface and kind of network the whole thing with white blue. Okay, got it.
Yes. So this is we have also granted one patent, hardware patent. It's granted from the Indian government. So for the hardware side is about if you have this system installed into your home, any smart home system can get failed, even if airplanes are have some kind of fail-safe system. So what it does when it gets failed, we are going to give 90.99% that system wouldn't be affected for 3 or 4 years. But what would it happen when it gets failed? All the smart home system currently which is installed into existing switchboards runs on the DC adapter, like we charge the phone from adapter, and most of the some of the adapters do get failed. In smartphones, if they do get failed, we just replace it. That's it, problem solved. But if you have this smart home system installed into your home, if their AC to DC power conversion system goes fail, you'll have the problem of no control, even the manually. So you cannot control your appliances through like switches and lights manually as well. You just need to wait for the technician to come in back again and fix the system to be temporarily communicate again. The pattern that we have been granted especially introduced this concept. It's a special fail-safe concept. So in worst case scenario, full system goes fail, it will just shift to the traditional mechanism. Like you can control the system through your manual switches, and all stuff would work apart from the digital stuff and all kind of other stuff that we are going to work. So you can at least have the local control of your devices and all kind of stuff. And the other, yes. Okay. So this is the market opportunity from Statistica, how the smart home market will go into the next 5 years.
How to do market sizing. Okay, I think I understand what you're trying to do. I'm going to give you a few pieces of homework, Akshar.
Yes.
And you can use the 1M by1M curriculum. You already have membership, so you have access to the curriculum. Here's basically, I would like to have you frame your pitch as a customer pitch, targeting a high-end real estate developer who's going to work with you to build smart homes. So let's say it's a high-end developer doing a very luxury project and wants it to be cutting-edge, smart home and everything. What are you going to tell developer, this real estate developer, that, I'm going to wire up, let's say it's a 200-unit project or a, 500-unit project, and you will do all of them. Every single home is going to have these functionalities, and this is what they will be able to do. And there is a customer pitch template in the curriculum. If you go look for the customer pitch template, you will be able to find that. use that template to come up with that pitch, and then
Okay.
iterate with me in roundtables so that we can gather up an understanding of what is that storyline narrative that we are going to tell real estate developers to get those deals. And I think what would happen is if you can make a compelling case that we'll work together on creating a compelling case, and then you take that and start conversations with real estate developers who are working on luxury projects and start figuring out how to work with them. Once you do that, and this is, comes down the line, right now you can just focus on that and let's nail this. That will also take you through the process of understanding the business model of how you're going to charge, how, what is the average deal size, et cetera, and from that, go through the market sizing module of the curriculum and apply what you learn there to see what is the size of the TAM, the total available market. All of those are going to be needed then to put together more of the investor pitch. You don't need an investor pitch right now. I think first thing you do is build the customer pitch. Okay? So work on that, and as soon as you would like to come back and talk to me in the upcoming roundtables, public, private, whatever, it doesn't matter. You have access to both. So let's first nail a customer pitch targeting big real estate developers working on luxury smart home projects. Okay? All right. We will talk soon as you have, a first version of that.
Okay.
All right. Great. Okay, folks, we are going to spend a few minutes talking about how to use 1Mby1M, and then we can do Q&A if there is any. If you like what we're doing here, this is basically a working session, mentoring, consulting type of opportunity for your strategy. And then we have this educational piece, which is the curriculum, which Akshar is going to use to learn the methodology elements. If you like this mode of very candid, direct feedback and constructive feedback with which you can do something, actionable feedback, send entrepreneurs in your friends and family to us, and we will be happy to work with them. All our resources are at 1Mby1M.com. You can access a terrific blog. There is the Entrepreneur Journeys book series that you can learn from. There are 12 volumes of case study-based books. These roundtables happen every week. You can come to as many of them as you like. You can pitch once to a free roundtable, and then if you're in the premium program, you can pitch as many times as you want and get as much time as you need to. We provide extensive methodology guidance in the premium program, which is our full acceleration program. And the curriculum is available through that. We help you with business development. We help you with strategy consulting. We help you with financing and so forth. So the self-assessment is a series of questions that investors are going to ask you. If you're looking for financing, you have to be able to answer these questions. And if you get stuck, go do the curriculum. The curriculum-only option of the program is 1Mby1M Basic. So you're welcome to do 1Mby1M Basic. That is available as a curriculum-only option. We also strongly recommend you do our bootstrapping course that is available for as a free course, about an hour course to really understand our philosophy. Maureen, could you please in future decks switch these two slides? The 1M Basic comes first and then the bootstrapping course. So on the website, you will find all kinds of stuff. It's very rich, lots of information, what to expect from premium, what to expect from basic, everything is explained there. Video messages, curriculum is fully described there, what to expect. We teach through case studies. We have a great network of entrepreneurs, investors who really come and dive deep into how they have done it, what they're doing, what they are suggesting, recommending for the kind of businesses they have built. So we often look for blueprints from our case study repository. So that is the philosophy of the program. Investor introductions, we have specific policy on. Just by joining, you don't get introduced to investors. You have to be ready, but you are. When you are ready, we will introduce you to investors. We work with over 500 investors very closely. Our methodology is bootstrap first, raise money later, and it's lean, capital efficient bootstrap startups. Deep tech is an area where, you know, we kind of try to get you ready with enough market and how to sell your team and so forth. What you heard today with Karthee is, you know, there's a way to pitch with deep tech startups as well, and you would need to work on building yourself for that. So those are our the principles of 1 million by 1 million. We have 5 roundtables in June. You're most welcome to pick one and pitch, and of course attend as many as you would like. I will be ready to take questions in just a moment. If you would like to dial in and talk to me, I'm happy to do that now. You can also activate your computer audio and talk through that. Harish has a question, Komineni. Hi, Shomana, this is my first time here. Feedback you just provided is of intense value. I hope Akshar takes it and nails down the pitch to the right audience. Yes, absolutely. And that's a very good example of the kind of, you know, switch we do in people's thinkings. You know, I've basically moved Akshar from a B2C strategy to a B2B strategy in that one conversation. And these are monumental shifts, and they have monumental impact on how you're going to, you know, go to market and your probability of success. If you have questions about the program, you can contact Irina Patterson. She'll be happy to talk to you. She's been with our program for the whole time that we've been around and knows the program inside out. So that's it. Any other questions? I'm happy to talk to you, answer questions, listen to you, whatever. But we're done with the scheduled programming for today. Anybody? Harish, do you have any other questions? Where are you dialing from, by the way? Abhijit, Indian startup ecosystem, we are hearing negative views on 59% of startups struggling. Please advise your comments. There's no generic comments, you know. My only comment to you is ask the people who are struggling to come and join the program, and I will try to look at their specific situations and guide them on how to work, you know, how to work around their issues. Maureen, can you unmute Harish? I think he would like to comment.
I can do that now. Hi, Shramana. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, I can hear you. Where are you dialing from, Harish?
I'm dialing from Berlin.
Berlin. Ah, cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm a part of Antlo, the startup incubator here. And I'm also working in a similar way, so ideating on different topics, finding the right co-founder. I'm a tech founder, so I'm looking for a co-founder with business skills. Yeah.
Well, my recommendation to you would be to learn the business skills, maybe using 1 million by 1 million yourself to begin with. And I really am a believer that tech co-founders can learn the early stage business skills that you need to learn to get something off the ground. And it's a better use of your time.
Sure, I would definitely do that. Thanks for that.
You're welcome. Anything else? Do you have any other questions?
No, I find this very insightful. Thanks for that. Also, you know, lively feedback.
Very good. Very good. Excellent. Thanks for coming. All right, folks. Looks like that's all we have for today. I will see you soon. Good luck with everybody. Those in complicated geographies, wish you all the best. Latin America, Brazil, Argentina, Colombia, these are in very difficult shape. India is in very difficult shape. So I wish you all the very best to stay safe and keep your friends and family safe. Bye. Take care.